Hey guys, and welcome to this new episode of Quite Frankly. Now, we all know Photoshop and Lightroom, right? And some people don't want to use Photoshop and Lightroom. They say, well, I shoot the image and it should be great out of the camera. And I agree. I don't believe that you can fix something that's bad in Photoshop or Lightroom with whatever plugin you have. However, I do strongly believe that you do need Photoshop and Lightroom to finish off your product. Like in the old days, you develop a film, and then in the darkroom, you can actually use all these techniques like dodge and burn and exposure times and, well, different chemicals, different papers to get different results. Now, nowadays, in Photoshop and Lightroom, you have something called plugins. Now, what are plugins? Plugins are software packages that run inside of Photoshop or Lightroom or run as apps that can change the look of your image. Now, there are many different options nowadays, so it's really confusing to find the right ones, right? For me, the right ones are the ones that are very subtle. I don't like the, what I sometimes call Instagram look. In other words, you do a lot of destroying your images with frames, a lot of scratches, noise, out of focus areas. And what you're actually trying to do probably is make an image that goes like, well, it's okay, and you want to try to make it great. Well, for me, a plugin is much more than that. The image out of the camera should be, let's say, 99% done. The only thing I do in Photoshop is actually retouch the skin, give it some tinting, and add a little bit of magic. Now, what is that little bit of magic? Well, a while ago I found a company called MacPhun, and they have this plugin, and that's really awesome. It's called Intensify Pro. And Intensify Pro really changed the look of my images, but most of all, it shaved off a lot of my retouching time. Now, what does it do? It gives you a hyper-reality sharpness look in your images, and I really like that. And they have a lot more plugins that are really great. Think about tonality for great black and white conversions. And of course noiseless, focus, and they have so much more. I'm going to show you those in a later episode. But today I want to focus on Intensify Pro. Now, Intensify Pro, again, gives you a little bit of extra bite in your images. The key element, however, is do it very subtle. Now, if you don't have a Mac, you're out of fun, because MacPhun only runs on Mac. But also for PC there are many different options, like the one that I really like, Topaz Clarity, or for example in the Nik suite you have something called Tonal Contrast. They are different from MacPhun Intensify, however. They give a little bit more artifacts and the end result is a little bit more, how do you call it, artificial. So for today I'm going to show you MacPhun Intensify. And they have a whole creative suite which I'm going to mention at the end of the video. So let's switch to the computer. And let's see what we can do with an image that's straight out of the camera and add a little bit of magic. Hey guys, so let's see what MacPhun can do for this image. Now, this was shot during a workshop, actually this weekend, with Nadine and Kevin. And we were on location in Germany, beautiful castle. And if you look at the sky, it's a little bit bland. And well, the castle looks nice, but I think it can use a little bit of pop. Now, the first thing I always do is create a new layer. And that's actually a duplicate layer. Now, why do I do this? Because I don't want the effect on the whole image. I want to be able to mask it out later. So let's go to Filter and let's go to the Creative Kit Intensify. As you can see, there were a lot of plugins in the Creative Kit and later we will discuss them all. But for today, we're just going to focus on Intensify Pro. So here we go. Now we have a lot of presets here, and those presets you can actually buy on my website, but there's also some default settings, of course. Now what I did is I used some of the default settings I really liked and then create via the adjust my custom presets, and it's just a starting point, you know. So even if you buy these presets, it will get you a little bit closer to the end result than you get with the original presets, but you still have to fine-tune everything to get it, well, the way you like it. Now, one of the things that I like to do is the Poppy Trauma tree. As you can see here, it gives me a vignetting and it really enhances sky and textures. So we're just going to press apply. And of course the effect is now way too harsh in, for example, the faces, so we're going to mask that out in a moment. By the way, one of the things you will immediately see when you run this filter is if you have any dust on your sensor. It enhances the image so much that if you have dust on your sensor, it will show up. But luckily in Photoshop you have a pretty nice cool tool to get it out, and I will show you that also in a moment. Okay, so I like the effect on almost everything, and what I do like about the MacPhun filters is actually when you look really close, you can see a little bit of ringing here. but it's nowhere near the halos you would normally get with the older tonal contrast like settings or clarity. You will get a lot of halos around your buildings and trees, and actually with the MacPhun plugins this is pretty minor, so it's a pretty cool effect. Okay, so let's start by taking the effect out of the skins. So we go to Layer, Layer Mask, and we're going to do a Reveal All, because on most of the image I actually like the effect. So there we go. Zoom in to 100% and just go to the faces. And as you can see, it's okay on the face, but for me it's a little bit too much. So you take your brush and you change the color to black, because you have a white piece of paper here. So as soon as you start brushing with black, you actually take the effect out. I don't want the effect out 100%, so I'm going to change my opacity to, let's say, about 50%. And we're just going to paint the effect out of the skins. And as long as you don't pick up your stylus from your tablet, the effect won't be added. So you can go over your model's skin just once. As soon as you lift up your stylus and you put it down again, that's when the effect starts adding. So for example, like you see here, I just lifted up the stylus and put it back down again, and now it actually takes away way more. Okay, now you can see that the faces are a little bit too dark compared to the other set, right? Because that's tonality also adds a little bit of brightness in my preset. But that's no problem at all. We just go to the bottom layer here, and we go into Image, Adjustments, Curves. And now what we do is we just raise a little bit of the brightness just on that lower layer. There we go, really like this effect. The only thing you now have to do is make sure that you're back on this layer, so you mask, and you have to check that you were nice with your selection. And as you can see here, I was a little bit sloppy. So what I will do now is I will change the color with the X key black to white. I will just go over the mask very quickly and do that on 100%. So if you were a little bit sloppy with your selection, this is the way to correct it again. Okay. This looks pretty cool. Okay, go to Fit on Screen. Now the only thing you have to do is, if you like the effect, it's okay. If you don't like the effect, you can change it with your opacity back to 0 and just gradually adjust it until you see what you like. But I like it on 100%. Okay, now because it's a hyper sharpening filter, what you need to do is you go to 100% and you start in the top. Now you see a lot of noise, so what you do is you use this tool, and this is actually called the Content Aware Healing Brush. As you can see here, the Spot Healing Brush, sorry. And it uses Content Aware Fill. So you can very quickly, without sampling, go over the areas where you see dust. And as you can see, I had a lot of dust on my sensor. Normally it never shows up, but when I use this filter, oh man, it really shows up. And that's not bad, you know, this is what the filter is designed for. It gives you a hyper reality look, but it also brings out details that you normally don't see, including dust. So it's also a great way to check if you cleaned your sensor correctly. Okay, so anyway, as soon as you removed everything like this, you're done and you can save your image. And you can see that just one little filter like Intensify Pro can really enhance an image and create something that clients will actually go like, oh, that's a different look, I really like this. Now of course you can do it in Photoshop all by yourself without using a filter, but it will take you a lot of time and often you will get those nasty halos around your subjects or trees. So I'm pretty satisfied. Okay, and let's try it with another shot. Okay, so here we have another image, and from the same workshop, by the way. So the first thing we're going to do is again create a duplicate layer, go into Filters and go into Intensify. Now as you can see, this is a totally different image, so the approach will be slightly different. In this case, for example, we have a lot of white here and I don't want the effect in there. I want to take the effect out, but on some of the areas here I would like to have the effect and also in the clothing, so we're going to do a slightly different approach. I also don't want the vignetting in, so I'm going to use one without a vignette. Now what you can also do, of course, is use one with the vignette and just go into Adjustments and then go all the way down and just reset the vignette. So you have the same effect. There we go. I like this one a little bit more because it gives a little bit of pop to the colors. Okay, so just press apply. And there we go. Now I don't want it up here, so what I'm going to do is layer, layer mask, still reveal all because most of the areas I do like to filter. So we take the brush, press the X key to change to black. We're actually going to paint the effect out in the areas where we don't want it. So it's actually the same approach as before, but this is a totally different image. This one is more bright. So it works in both images pretty well. Now with the older ones like tonal contrast, you also saw that the out of focus areas, well, they didn't look very nice with the effect. Now this is something where MacPhun really shines for me, because you can really see here that even in the out of focus areas it still looks pretty nice. I also don't want the effect here on the face. And of course this ends. Go to the bottom layer and go into curves. And just up that a little bit. And of course make sure that you take notice of the background, because I took that one out, so that will also get a little bit brighter. And there we go. Now I forgot the legs. I don't like it on the legs either. So there we go. I'm doing this very, very rough, because in a moment I'm going to zoom into 100% and I'm actually going to go through the image again, but now a little bit more careful. Okay. So go to 100% and now change the brush with the X key to black. Now I'm going to paint the effect in on a lower opacity. Like I'm going to lower my opacity to, let's say, 40%, and I'm just only gonna paint it in the areas where I do like it, like here in the dress, to give a little bit more of the wrinkles, some structure. There we go. Again, remember that if you lift up your stylus from your tablet, you actually start adding the effect. So you have to be careful. Like as you can see here, that doesn't look nice, so we're gonna switch the color back again, and we're gonna take that effect out just a little bit. So there we go. Now let's look at the end result. Let's take it out here too. Oh, sorry. Press the X again to change color. Okay, now we have a before and after, and it really gives you a little bit of extra oomph in the image, a little bit of bite. Now change the luminosity, or sorry, the opacity, if you want to change the look of the image. I actually like it a little bit lower. There we go. So this is how I use Intensify Pro. Now on my website there's a special discount for you guys for the whole creative suite. Now this is a really cool discount, so check it out. It's on www.frankdoorhof.com/MacPhun. So make sure you check that one out for the discounts. And thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next episode of Quite Frankly.